Mr. Chairman, I'm very concerned about the elimination of some critical programs that are included in this budget, including EDA, the Manufacturing Extension Partnership, and the Sea Grant College program, all of which are critical and have worked so well in the state of Maine. But in the interest of time, I'm going to focus my comments on an issue that was raised to me when I attended the annual Fishermen's Forum in Maine. So I'm going to direct this to Dr. Jacobs, who is the representative of NOAA. Dr. Jacobs, first let me give you a little background. There is a long-running territorial dispute between the United States and Canada pertaining to waters around Machias Seal Island. That sits approximately 10 miles off the Maine coast, and it's referred to as the gray zone. Consequently, each country, the United States and Canada, manages their lobster and other fisheries in the area through separate and often conflicting regulations. For example, for generations, since 1917, Maine lobstermen have marked the tails of egg-bearing females that they catch with a V-notch, and then they throw them back, return them to the water, so they can lay their eggs, grow larger, and reproduce in future years. Maine lobstermen also abide by a maximum size limit, tossing back oversized lobsters, again, to keep the stock strong. These are great conservation practices that the industry uses. But many of the lobstermen in down East Maine, near the New Brunswick border, who fish in this area, who harvest lobsters in this area, are growing increasingly frustrated that their Canadian counterparts fishing in exactly the same areas are undermining the American protections and threatening the sustainability of the stock. And let me give you an example of just what this can mean. This means that when a Maine lobsterman throws back that V-notched or oversized lobster, it can be pulled up by a Canadian lobsterman 50 yards away and brought to market. So the implications of these regulatory discrepancies are very concerning and very unfair to Maine's lobstermen, scallop fishery, and also halibut is fished in that area. So what I'm asking is, will NOAA work with Maine and Canadian fisheries officials to explore the possibility of developing a fisheries agreement that provides for cooperative management of this unique area?
Thank you for the question, Senator. Yes, NOAA would very much look forward to working with you and your staff to address this issue.
Thank you. It's a real problem, and we do need your help. Mr. Kaplan, I've been in regular correspondence with Ambassador Lighthizer about the importance of expeditiously resolving the international trade barriers that are continuing to harm Maine seafood exporters. The retaliatory tariff of 25% that China has levied on U.S. lobster has been very detrimental to the industry. Before the tariff, China was the second largest importer of U.S. lobster, purchasing $128.5 million worth of the product in 2017. For the first half of the year, Maine exports of lobster to China were up by 169% compared to the year before. But once the tariffs were imposed, the Canadian lobster dealers were able to step into that market and take it away from the state of Maine, from the American lobster dealers. So this is a real problem for us, And I would like to know what is the status of the trade talks with China, and what hope can you provide to my lobster exporters who are struggling day in and day out, having lost that very lucrative market to our Canadian neighbors?
Thank you, Senator, and thank you, all members of the committee, for holding this hearing. As someone who's spent a lot of time in Kittery Point, Maine, with lobstermen and lobster women in the industry, I'm very sympathetic to what you're saying. I can assure you that we are doing everything possible to resolve the problems with China and to resolve the trade disagreements as quickly as possible. I've been working very hard on that under Secretary Ross and Ambassador Lighthizer. The Chinese negotiating team is here now. We've been meeting almost nonstop, either in the United States or in China, I'd say for months now, certainly for this entire year. And I think we've been making progress, and I think we are optimistic about an agreement. But I have to say, both as Ambassador Lighthizer and the President have said, we know there's still a long way to go. There are many issues we have to resolve, but we are working nonstop to try to bring this dispute to a conclusion.
Well, I hope it'll be resolved soon. Thank you. Thank you.